That's a nice picture.
Yeah. Oh, what? No.
It's a chance to be on TV.
Okay, it's noon, so yeah, let's go ahead and do the questions.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag
of
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes, I'm here.
Mike Parker,
here.
Roger Cone, Jim Snyder.
Yeah.
Okay. Anita. Motion for the consent agenda, please.
I move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of August 17th, 2022.
I'll second.
One of those years.
I got a question, Mike.
Two items.
Does that mean, are you taking B out or including B in now? Because there's two things on the consent agenda, not just the minutes, but the sewer.
No, we need to include the sewer extinguishment. I was busy extinguishing.
Okay, so everything's included. Is that good, Jim?
Yeah.
Okay, roll call, please, Jim.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes,
Jim Snyder.
Yeah.
thanks for the clarification.
Now resolution 2218 appointment to the board of directors.
Okay, so after Tim Lewis's passing, I contacted all of the city managers for the cities that we work with to try to solicit applications for anyone interested in seating on the board. And when I first wrote my message, the only positive response I got was from Jim Parsons. Over the weekend, I got a message from the Talent City manager saying that one of their counselors, Eleanor
Panamera.
was interested. I did talk to Eleanor yesterday, and she said that she's going back out. So right now we have one person who's interested in the position. And
That we that does that kind of mean we almost have to hijack the one person?
it's entirely up to you.
Okay.
But Mike Parsons did say he was willing to, and obviously he's been at most of our meetings over the past few years, and so he's familiar with how we operate.
I think he's a great candidate, even if he does live in
It
Central.
would leave a vacancy on our budget committee that we have to fill, but that's kind of normal.
But we'll make him come anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, gentlemen, we need a motion.
I nominate Mike Parsons for the vacancy on council's seat.
I will second.
Roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Jim Snyder.
Yes.
Okay, can
Congratulations, Mike.
Thank you.
So
Welcome aboard.
can we swear him in and get him?
we don't really have a swearing in. I mean, it's
Oh.
done. He's
Okay.
on the board now.
You're it.
I have one brief statement. I'm
Okay,
not a politician,
thank you.
I'm a public servant and a policymaker.
You
And I
joined the
welcome
right
that
people
position.
here.
I don't bring politics into anything as far as the city or any liaisons that I have of the 9 liaisons.
And if you try to leave you may find a spike strip under your car over it.
So this position is up for reelection for the remaining 2 years in May. So we usually get a notice from the county clerk about what positions are open.
Okay.
So you'll get all that if you want to extend beyond June next year. So, thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
That will cost you money. You have to pay.
Just make sure the checks spell my name right.
Yeah, I have 2 MPs now.
Yes.
I'll have to go to middle initials.
Well, you're gonna be Mike, he's gonna be Michael. That's how I'm gonna
That's
differentiate in my head.
That works. I think that's Mike and Michael. Of course, we could go with Mikey.
You could go, yeah, that works. I get a lot of Mikeys and I get a lot of Parkers.
Oh, yeah.
Because now it's first name with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I actually had friends for over a year. His wife knew me as Parker, didn't know my first name was Mike. She thought Parker was.
But unless it's totally enunciated, I can recall the first meeting I came to as the liaison when someone said Mike or something. And I said, here. Then I heard you say. Here. So it's.
And I can't hear anything, so I wouldn't have done it. I'd say here to any.
All righty. So we've got Parker and Michael and now.
We got lots of options,
We got
just.
options.
Hey,
here's an And on to resolution 2219, award of contract.
Okay, so at Gold Hill Treatment Plant, we right now, we truck all the treated biosolids to the city of Bedford. And it's in liquid form, it's about 2 or 3% solid, so it's good in the tank we truck. That's just, and we take it to Medford, they put it in their drying beds, and we pay them to take it to the landfill. But I wanted to enter into a contract with one of the local septic haulers. Basically, so we're not driving, we're a little bit on the short staff side with our treatment, because we have one person leave. And it's a fair amount of work to do that. And time consuming, coupled with the fact that the truck that we're using is one that was there when we got there. It's a Gold Hills truck.
Okay.
And we've rebuilt most of it. It's still pretty old and not in the greatest of shape. So the idea here is just to outsource that particular task so that our crews have a little bit more time to work on kind of the more important parts of running the plant.
So we don't have any more responsibility, so to speak, about maintenance for that truck, for cleaning.
Exactly, yeah.
Is the new contractor taking over the truck? Or are they just doing their own?
The contractor?
Yeah.
Oh, no, they have their own. Yeah, so, yeah, we sent out a request for proposals to, some of the local septic pumpers. And so they're gonna be using their pumper truck. Sweetwater Sanitation is the one that, they submitted a proposal. It's $550 per trip. They carry 3,000 gallons at a time. For a full year, if they did everything, it's in the range of about $30,000 to $40,000 total. We would be paying them, but we're already partly into the year, so there'll be a little bit less than that to finish out the year. And this contract would run through the end of June, which is when our Gold Hill expires as well.
Is that reasonably close to what we were paying for our own internal usage?
I think it's probably a lot less than what it was costing us, honestly, because it takes it's a more than an hour's round trip, and the wear and tear on the vehicles and everything else. I think this is definitely we're gonna be money ahead on that. So I'm recommending we approve that contract and authorize them to move forward there.
I so move that we.
Okay, have you
No,
seconded? Okay. It's been moved and seconded. So roll call, please.
Kay Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes,
Joe Slater,
Yes,
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
your first vote.
Okay, who's doing the project update?
I'll do that. So Antelope Road rehab, this is a really big project. This is like a $5 million project. Basically, White City on the industrial side of Antelope Road is we've done. They're working on the design on that right now. And at the same time, this is one of the projects that I've submitted to DEQ for revolving loan fund funding. Yeah. So it's going to take a while. I mean, there's the financing side of it's going to take some time. The design is going to take a little bit of time too, because it's such a big project. That's underway. As Nick noted, the railroad is going to be a little bit of a thorny issue as well, because we do have to cross under that. And they're not always the easiest people to deal with, and they are going to charge us money for that. On the West Glenwood, we're still waiting on parts. The design's done, everything's ready to go. We're just getting the control panels just takes a lot of time. Things are slow there. On the Shady Cove pump station, kind of the same. Oh, Shady Cove number 6. That's one of these little small ones also that same issue we're having with waiting on parts. The Brophy pump station, that one's done. So the final payments on that one. And then Shady Cove number 2, they're still working on the design. That's the biggest pump station in Shady Cove. It takes pretty much everything that's on the left bank of the river and puts it over to the right bank of the river. The Violet Siphon abandonment. Again, that's when we're working on the design on that. That one we're hoping to schedule spring. That's going to be a tight work job. So, in fact, we've got a couple of fairly new inspectors. Get that a little bit of experience before we for the ones with night job. The Lagoon project is incredibly exciting, to me at least. But they've got pretty much all the grading done for the new lagoon cells, and they're scheduled to pull the liner next week. And hopefully this rain hasn't messed things up too bad. But so yeah,
It's dry enough to grade.
well, it has been, yeah. And Nick's got one of those time-lapse cameras up there, so once it's all done, you'll be able to see it. And
Cool.
we put it in a place where no one can stack anything in front of it. So it's an amazing process. I know Nick's talked about it, but it's this computerized machine control. So we're able to define the surface in AutoCAD, and they input that into their bulldozer. And bulldozer has GPS sensors on it, and there's a base station, and the operator can just dial it in, and it just tells them exactly where to position the blade to get it to.
That's precise GPS.
It is
That's
amazing.
Awesome.
And so it's, it is a pretty amazing process. So that's moving along really nicely. Like I said, they'll be pulling the liners probably next week is the plan. And then once that's done, we'll start filling them up and then moving on. Part of that project does involve, we're partnering with Audubon Society and Mace Foundation on the wetland side of things. So there's some plantings and things like that need to happen. So we're going to try to set up a meeting here in the next few weeks to try to coordinate that part of it. But yeah, it's that's a fun one. What else?
I think that's one that you've been looking forward to doing.
I've been doing stuff out there, trying to figure stuff out for years.
Yeah.
Ever since we kind of abandoned them, just trying to find the right application, and this seems to be the one. So that's good. The West Valley View project, that is one, that's a talent road project, but we contributed some funding to that help with the stormwater quality part of it. And that's under construction right now and moving along pretty well, I think. The coming stormwater facility, that's also in Talent, also on Valley View, as a matter of fact. But that's a regional facility that's going to take in about 50 or more acres of downtown Talent. Will drain through that facility and infiltrate it to the ground before it gets to the Bear Creek. So the key there is that the property owner is donating the land to us. So we've been working with Joe Kellerman and their attorneys trying to work out the details of that donation. We're real close. I think we have the sale agreement. They call it a sale agreement, but there's no money changing hands. we have it the way we like it, and I think it's gonna be acceptable to them. So, that's another project that we're applying for SRF funding on. So I'm working through that part of it. Again, that's just another one of those really, interesting projects that I think is gonna have a lot of benefit because it's just taking in such a big area, big part of talent, and addressing all their stormwater needs for that section. Similarly, the 7th Street Stormwater Facility, this is in White City. And this is another opportunistic one that just kind of came, the developer or the property owner was wanting to develop their property, and we saw an opportunity to build a stormwater facility that would address the initial needs of the developer right now, and also kind of a big area in the industrial side of White City. So we're working on that. The design is generally done. There's some wetlands issues, and Jenny's done a wetland delineation, and she's working with the Department of State Lands. And
That's a lot of work to do those wetlands.
it is. I
Because
mean,
it can get tricky.
yeah, it's a small area that we're looking at, but it's still, it is a fair amount of work. But she's done the delineation, and we're working with the Corps of Engineers and Division of State Lands to get final approval on that. Let's see out on here next. The Shady Cove Treatment Plant Project. We are planning to upgrade the SCADA system and change our disinfection from chlorine gas to ultraviolet light. Again, that's one I'm working with DEQ on the SRF fund. Those are 3 projects we're doing SRF funding on. So we haven't really done a whole lot of work on the design on that one just yet. I'm mostly working on the funding side of it. But we are going to put out a request for proposals to get a consultant actually to do most of the design. That will be happening here next month or 2. That's all Nick has to, that's all Nick has to say.
On that one, I'm gonna go with somebody else because everybody's so busy, or is it more technical?
The second thing mostly. I mean, it's a little of both. I think, with the ultraviolet stuff, we could probably do it because really it is kind of a plug and play design. I mean, you're buying a machine and you're connecting it to the pipes and to the electricity, and we can do that. And we'll probably do the work ourselves. I mean, there's a good chance of that. But just, it is somewhat more technical. And, it does make sense to have an outside person doing it. And plus, like I say, time constraints on our staff are pretty tight. The SCADA side of it, obviously, that's all going to be contracted out to put that part in place. That's not our expertise at all.
I was just, I'm glad we're going in that direction. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
It'll be nice. It'll give our guys another thing that they will have experience in too,
Yeah.
is the UV stuff. So I like that. Okay,
Okay.
now stormwater.
Yeah, I think Jenny is here, but I think my screen is out of order. Reports in the printed package. Oh, you know what? You know what? I just read last month's Nick's report. I was reading his report in the minutes.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. So let's just make sure that I didn't skip anything. I think a lot of it's kind of in the same boat.
Oh, yeah.
Carl, the only thing I put on there was Highway 99 in Phoenix there.
I mean,
Yeah,
there's gonna be some sewer relocation potentially on that highway project.
yeah, they're reconstructing the entire corridor, putting in pedestrian facilities, new lanes, restriping. They're relocating the intersection at Rose and then doing the whole corridor all the way down to Glenwood. So it's a pretty big project, but luckily most of our sewer is actually outside of the right of way. It's an old sewer system, and because it's outside of the right of way in an easement, if we have to relocate anything, ODOT reimburses us for it because it's not in their right of way, which is kind of a cool little kick. But it's still gonna take some time to do. Those highway reconstructions take up a lot of time and analysis, so. More to come on that, I'm sure. And
And there is a stormwater facility associated with that project that we've been coordinating with ODOT and Jackson County. And Jackson County is providing land along the greenway, and ODOT is doing the design. And in principle, we've all agreed to do some cost sharing on that, but we don't have any of the final numbers, and none of it's
You don't have a confirmed agreement on it.
right. It's an agreement in principle. So basically, they needed to construct a stormwater facility for their project, and we said, hey, move it a little bit, and we can take a bigger area, and we can all work together on it. And that's where we are right now. They're still working on the design of it. It's going to look like a giant pear from above.
A giant pear.
Yeah.
Intentionally or just
Yeah,
because?
they did that on purpose.
That'll be cool.
Okay. That's all Nick has to say.
Okay, now we have some water update. And Jimmy's there, I heard her.
Yes, she is here.
I'm here and I don't have much to say. Our Rogue Valley Stormwater Quality Design Manual, it went out for public comment over the last 2 months. That period closed, and we did receive some comments from different individuals and entities in the area. So the working group is reviewing those comments now and deciding how to modify the manual. We are on track, I think, to get it out by the deadline of February 28th. But it is going to take some concerted effort to get everything through. And then I just wanted to make a note on Eagle Point, because I had brought this to you guys like 6 months or more ago about Eagle Point interested in having stormwater services provided by RVSS. And I did a presentation to them and talked about what we could do for them. And we had some back and forth with the city manager about how to work out the financing or what they would need to do in order to become part of RVSS program. And we just heard from their city manager a couple of weeks ago that they simply haven't had time to figure out how to do the financing structure. And so they're not joining us at this time. Didn't necessarily indicate whether they would in the future or what was happening, but that's where it is right now. So nothing moving forward there. I guess the other piece of it is that they said that they weren't able to join our MS4 program because they haven't figured out their financing, but they did request that we do a stormwater master plan for them, which is what we're currently doing for the city of Talent. And my suggestion to Carl was that, that's kind of something we're doing for the city of Talent as one of the services, because we are an MS4 service provider for the city of Talent. Otherwise, typically this would be something a city would hire a consultant for. And since we are not providing MS4 services for the city of Eagle Point, they've decided not to do that at this point. It seems kind of out of place for us to do that master plan for them. Additionally, we don't have staff capacity to do it. And so Carl let them know that. And I think that's all I have on there. We do have a SOL event this Saturday that we will be running out at Northridge Terrace, which is just north of Phoenix area, for part of the region-wide SOL event that we do every year in September.
So Carl,
Yes.
with this stormwater services like what we're doing for Talent, but we can't do for Eagle Point because we don't have the staff, is that going to change eventually, or how are we going to manage that?
We're in the midst of, Talent asked us to do a stormwater master plan. And this was a
It's
couple
been
of
a
years
while.
ago.
Yeah, I know it's
And this
been
was
a while.
before the Alameda fire.
Yeah,
The Alameda fire kind of threw some monkey wrenches at us. But and we agreed to do that, and it's taken a lot longer, obviously, because of the fire and everything else, but we're scheduled to finish that by the end of the year. I think once we're done with that, if Eagle Point ends up being part of our MS4 program and they ask us to do that, I think we probably would be able to in the future. It's just, right now there's a lot going on with, they're working on a design manual, getting that finalized. That's got a deadline in February.
Yeah,
We've got the
they've got a
talent
lot
stuff
of
going on.
stuff.
There's a lot going on, but, and then once we've gotten, one of them finished, we've kind of got a template for how to do it moving forward. So I can see us doing it at that stage.
But Eagle Point can do it on its own too, if they want to, because that would be just if they.
Yeah, normally if someone wants a master plan like that, then they hire an engineering company to do it.
Well, and is
Yeah.
that something the Valley Council of Governments does?
Not really.
That's not
It's
Not in their Bollywood?
it's pretty heavy on the engineering side of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's true. They don't have, at one time, they used to have somebody that, but not for a long time.
For talent, we actually went out to talent. We surveyed their entire system. So we mapped it all. We had our TV and flusher crews out there and doing investigations and cleaning up there. So there's a lot of work involved with that, just with our own crews. And then, on the engineering side of it, we built a system model and we're mapping, we're modeling the different, flow scenarios and coming up with their capital plan, which is kind of normal for a master plan like that.
Cool.
And most of that work's already done. We're at the stage right now where we need to kind of pull it all together. We did agree to do an STC and rate review of it also. So there's a fair amount of work involved in it. But like I said, it's going to be a bit of a crunch to get it done by the end of the year, but that's what we're scheduled to do.
Yeah, because there's a lot going on. Okay, thank you. Now, O&M report, Mr. Shane.
Good afternoon, and congratulations, Mike, on your promotion. All right, other than the obvious rotational footages, there are items of note. Carl spoke about the lagoons, and obviously it's still business as usual out there. So right now, the lagoons, between the construction and the septic haulers bringing in waste, it's quite a hub of activity. So they're still able to, with all that, to bring in $39,405 worth of revenue last month. Special clean list, it's still elevated as we're still doing root sawing. We're going to continue to do root sawing for another month or so. So we spent 48.5 equipment hours and 110 labor hours for a total of $9,640. Contract work, Carl and I had a conversation about this, and we agreed to temporarily suspend our contract work at this time due to our staffing issues. And that's just, we have 4 new hires that started within a week of each other, and we need to get them trained up. So we agreed to temporarily suspend it at least for a couple months. Hopefully give us enough time to get the new staff members tuned up and kind of get back. We do have a growing list of other government entities that want us to do work for them already. So I hope that in a couple months we'll be able to do that for them. Aside from that, pump stations, building grounds, vehicles, equipment, there's nothing to report. It's all been business as usual, no issues. It's been very quiet, and that's just the way we like it.
Yeah, that is the way we like it. All right, thanks, Shane. Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Now, next up, manager's report.
Okay, well, we've already addressed our board vacancy, so that item's taken care of. The .gov domain, there was a letter in the packet that we need to send to .gov domain registration care of VeriSign Inc. And basically what this does is this will give us the rights to our website of the RVSS And apparently, having that .gov designation, there's quite a bit more security involved in that. And I unfortunately don't know all the details of how or why that's more secure, but that's what, and that's something we've been working on a lot. Carol's been doing a lot of trying to clean up our cybersecurity side of it. And that's one of the biggest recommendations that comes from the experts is that if you can get a .gov domain, then definitely get that. We're, so we do need Casey to try that. As we proving that we're able to government. Secure that then.
Once you get it, you still have the process of converting.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll be having parallel things for a while. They'll let us switch it up. Gold Hill.
City that keeps us.
That's not a lot, isn't it? Chuck
So
left for saying, go there.
in the beginning of September, they had a council meeting and the council decided that they were going to proceed with rebuilding the treatment plant. As that was a decision that they needed to make. They did not decide on how they're going to rebuild it yet. But basically, they said we're not going to build a pipeline to connect to the regional system.
Okay, at least they made that
They
decision.
made that decision. They also decided that they were going to prepare to let out for contract the operation of the treatment plant. And so cool. We have an agreement with them that runs to the end of June. I've been pretty clear that if you put it out the bid, that's not something that we're going to be interested in bidding. So in essence, that's a decision they made as well. So that was 2 weeks ago.
Has it changed?
Yes.
Oh, and we are surprised.
Has 2 weeks gone by?
So at the most recent meeting Monday, first the city manager is gone. He's out. I think he might be sticking around for the rest of the week, but they did hire an interim manager, and the audio and the recording isn't real strong, but I think it was Adam Hanks from Ashland. Was retired, and if that's the case, I think that's a good score for them.
Well, if they, yeah,
but I don't know if that's
maybe not for him, but
yeah.
for them, if they allow it.
So that's moving. They're still waffling a lot about what they're going to do. And they mostly at Monday argued about whether or not things were properly noticed and ended up not deciding on anything else further. So, there's still a lot of pressure in the city to try to do the regional connection. So, like I said, they made a decision, but I don't know how solid that decision is.
Well, okay, so if I hear you correctly, so the populace of Gold Hill wants to do the connection, but the city council wants to hold on to their.
Yeah, well, there's forces in the populace. I don't know how widespread it is, but the
Okay.
ones that are vocal at the council meetings say they want to do the connection.
Okay,
So
so it could be 50-50.
yeah,
It
and
could be 20-30, it could be 20-80.
who knows? There is an election coming up, and so there's a very good chance that there's going to be a lot of new faces on the city council come January. We were pretty direct. The extension that we made for 1 year was very clear that within that year you're either going to go for the annexation or the only way we're staying beyond that year is the annexation and not more extensions on the contract. So as long as we stick to that, I think we're fine either way. Honestly, if they voted for, and I was contacted by one of the residents, and asked if there's a way that they could push for an annexation vote without the city council's approval. And there is, I mean, it can be done through a citizen petition. So, but I don't think they're planning to pursue that. That's
That
pretty
costs money.
complicated. Yeah, and there's just a lot of details that if you're going at it in an adversarial way, it doesn't work out. There's existing debt that needs to be disposed of. There's, with, the disposition of property and things like that. It's better to work that out kind of in a mutually agreeable manner than kind of a hostile way. So,
I have a question, because Gold Hill is not a very fluent city. Is finances the reason for their waffling?
that's a big part of it, yeah. I mean, they've got this, they're under orders from DEQ to do all these things. And actually, they're in the penalty phase now. They're more than a year. Supposedly, they've been racking up $500 day penalties since September last year. So that's not good either. But that's a big part of it. And the options that they're faced with are all, $7, $8, $9 million options. And you got a town of 1,200 people. I mean, that is brutal. And so I understand, the hesitancy there. But the other part of it is, I mean, with the new infrastructure law that's been passed, there's a lot of money out there. And, if they could kind of get things moving, I think they have a real good chance of getting some really nice
Good-sized grants.
Yeah. I mean, it's out there. It's just, no one's going to give you a grant, if you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
So,
If they get their act together.
yeah. So hopefully that'll happen, but
That would be good for Gold Hill.
yeah.
If they got their act together, committed to a purpose,
Yeah.
grants a whole lot easier to get
Right.
Yeah,
than waffling about do we want or do we not want.
yeah. The waffling doesn't bode well when you're trying to go for grant money or.
No, and
Yeah,
I mean, if they did do the annexation, I think that would be helpful, because the lenders, they like stability. And there's not a lot, so at any rate, I mean, it's nonstop trauma, so we'll see what happens next month.
You have the inside info on what the vote split was between rebuild and not rebuild? Was it 100%?
And it was 5-1.
5-1.
Yeah, there's one counselor that was adamant that, doing the regional connection is the right way to go.
Okay.
So, I put a note in here about the paid leave law. That goes into effect in January. This got passed a couple of years ago, I believe. And basically, it's a 1% payroll tax that makes every worker in Oregon eligible for what is basically a short-term disability insurance policy. There is a provision that lets employers opt out of it if they provide comparable protections for workers. We don't currently have a short-term disability policy in place, but that's something we'll take a look at it and see if there's a way to do that on our own, or kind of administratively the easiest thing to do is just pay a tax. But it doesn't sound like a lot, but I mean it comes to about $30,000 a year out of that we would be paying to the state on that, and 60% of that would come from employees. So we'll take a look at that and see kind of how it pencils out and see if what is available that would meet the requirements.
do you have any, it would be good to look at it, see how much would cost, it would provide it, and what kind of short-term disability and what it covers, as opposed to what's going to be offered by the state.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can look at them and see if it's apples and oranges, or and how cost efficient and how beneficial it would be for the employees.
Right.
Because I mean, the stuff that our people do from time to time can get. And even just running around
Yeah.
through the woods if you're hunting or whatever,
Yeah.
playing ball with your kids, you know,
Yeah.
so it would be good to look into.
Yeah, I mean, if someone was injured doing, at work. that would
If
be
that's
kind of
workman's
comp,
comp.
That's a separate thing.
Yeah.
but, this is more, like.
So
someone gets
this is-
cancer or
yeah,
someone,
this- This is the other stuff.
So, so we'll take a look and compare it and see, what there is that's available. And, there's deadlines for when you have to submit your qualifying plan, but it's not one deadline and then you're done. It's like every 3 months you have another deadline. So if we can't find anything initially, and we find something later on, we'll be able to.
There should be insurance companies scurrying around.
Yeah, and
putting things
SDAO
together.
is too.
Yeah.
Because, they see that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
In other words, you can opt out anytime this year, next year, the year after. You don't have to wait till the anniversary date, like the 1st of January or something next.
Well, you do, there's specific deadlines like every 3 months. So if we want to be exempt by when it goes into effect in January, we have to have our stuff submitted by sometime in November. And then we're locked in for 3 months, and then 3 months after that, we can submit again and try to get out. So, strategic plan, I included a memo here, kind of highlighting our progress on our strategic plan.
I got it here. Did you need one? It's not on there because I didn't know if you wanted everybody to see.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Sorry, Mike, do you want me to print you off one real quick?
It's longer than 4 lines.
so we've been working towards this.
No, I don't need.
We're about 3 years into it. And if you recall, when we did our strategic plan, we kind of identified what our organizational values are. And we broke that into 5 main categories: system integrity, customer service, fiscal responsibility, environmental protection, and employee empowerment. And within each of those categories, we identified a series of goals and tasks that we wanted to accomplish. And then we tied that to our performance incentive program. So, based on how many things we expected to get done in any given year, we allocated a certain amount of money that went into a pool that we would distribute to the employees at the end. Hey, is that light bothering you?
What?
Oh, the light. You got a strong shadow behind you. The light shining in his.
I would duck or something.
I guess, the short part of it is, we're getting most of the stuff done, which is what we would expect. We're not getting everything done, which is also what we expect, because we set some of those goals pretty high, to give us something to strive for. And like I said, the way we do that is there's a total of $4,000 in each category that we could earn. And based on what we get done, that's how much we get. So with our system integrity, we've completed basically 75% of what we expected to this point. So 75% of 4,000 is 3,000. And on down. The bottom line is, for the work that was done during the last fiscal year, we earned incentive of a little over $15,000. And what we do with that is I have a formula that allocates that to each employee based, and there's an adjustment based on seniority. So that comes to, $300 or $400 per person on average. And we give that out in December. It's kind of a nice end of year Christmas bonus that we've done. So I guess that's the general update. You can look through there. I highlighted the things that we didn't do because I'm kind of a negative person.
You telling us you're an E-board?
No, because I wanted the smallest list possible. I didn't want to have to take list of everything we did. So, yeah, like I said, we continue to make, I think, really good progress on that. And we've got a couple more years left before we run out of time on that. We're gonna have to renew it, but overall, I think things are going well on that.
Well, a couple of these things, part of it is, supply, trying to get
Yeah.
of parts and pieces. I know we're working on the computer system and doing that, and that can be, that's a lot of work too, to make sure you get the right stuff and it's gonna do what you want it to do, and you find the right people to work with. I've seen agencies spend money and it was a failure, so you don't want that,
That's true, yes.
so.
I think the way you set it up, I'm just guessing, that if there are 10 items in a category, you finish 9 of them, that's 90%.
Right.
There's no adjustment for the 10 we did are really hard, and the one we didn't do is too
Right.
easy, we just didn't get around to it.
Yeah, yeah, and there are some that are very routine and very simple to accomplish, and some that are really, really tough to accomplish. And that was intentional to a certain extent. So I don't know, I don't think we need any action on that. That's
We approve them.
more informative. Is that all I have? Oh, there's a couple things I wanted to add that I didn't put in my review. One is I forgot to mention, we are scheduled to make final pay off the bonds that we have next month. And I'm not sure if it's going to happen before or after the next board meeting, but that's there's going to be a transfer of about $1.5 million to pay that off, and that's all that debt will be gone. And that'll save us about $200 and some thousand dollars over the next 6 years in interest. So that's good. We still have a little bit of debt that we're servicing that kind of came over from Shady Cove. And I don't think we can pay that off early until 26 or 28. So
Yeah, I think we talked about that before. Good.
right. So
And that's okay, we hope people make one.
right. So that's a good thing. And then the other thing, it actually, situation that just came up today, and it's something that I've talked about. I don't know if I've talked about with you guys about, probably not, but with more and more people getting electric cars and things like that, there was a question of whether or not we can let people plug into the chargers that we have here. And my thoughts have always been, yeah, I'm okay with that. Kind of if employees wanted to do that if they have an electric car, but it was always abstract. But now it's not abstract because one of our employees has one. And it's one of those. I don't know if it's a gray area or not, but it is something that could be construed as a benefit as public service. So the board has discretion to say, okay, this is something that we will allow as a benefit for employees, just like providing them coffee or anything like that. If that's acceptable, we generally produce more electricity with our solar power than we use in a year. So that's why I never thought of this a huge burden to allow that. But like I said, now that it's real that somebody has one.
Somebody actually went on one. No, I think it's cool.
And I think, if you're agreeable to it, I'll actually make it into a formal policy just so that it protects everybody on that, make sure there's no.
Yeah, it should be a formal policy.
So I'll bring that back next week, but that's, there's been discussions about putting stations out in the parking lot, things like that. We're kicking it around. I think there's again, with this infrastructure law, there might be some, ways, free money to bring some of that stuff in. So that's something that we might want to look at in the future, but that's not on the real short horizon.
How many chargers do you now have on site?
We've got 2 here and we've got 1 out at Shady Cove treatment plant. And we've got 2 electric vehicles that we operate, but we are it is part of our long-term plan or short-term plan. Actually, we thought we'd have it done by now, is to replace some of our light-duty trucks with electric vehicles. And that's something that Shane, is keeping a real close eye on as far as, finding, you gotta look at range, you gotta look at price, and when they line up the way we want them to, we'll be prepared to move on it, but again, supply chain stuff, deliveries takes a while on that.
Plus, they didn't have light duty trucks with like systems for recently.
Right. So, you know, we're ready to move as soon as something becomes available that meets our needs. And they keep getting closer, so I think that is gonna happen relatively soon.
I don't think the market's out there yet to service trucks. If you're on a job and you've got motor running for generators, what's gonna power the motor to charge? What's gonna power the generators the whole time you're there? When you would ordinarily be idling with that truck, like a fire truck. Or a police car.
Right, yeah,
Because you're just using hours, and when it comes time to use it, you've got no battery left.
yeah,
Technology's not there yet.
right. And that's why I said, I mean, for the light duty ones, like, you know, our locators, our inspectors, you know, they're basically driving around, you know, site to site. It works for them. And actually, you know, we've had one truck that's been in the shop for several months now. And so one of our locators has been using, you know, Jones electric car. So.
It was Joe's electric car.
I know.
I would suggest that if you're gonna bring it to us for a decision, that we also get a readout beforehand from our lawyer. Because there are complications, I was just reading today, I think it was, that they give out to all the student loan things. The federal government saying it's not taxable. The state of California right now has to tax it.
Oh,
So there's that kind of subtlety, what the laws are of the state as well as
right.
operating
Yeah,
procedure.
there are taxable fringe benefits and like the uniforms and stuff we provide, that's taxable to the employees. So yeah, we'll double check on that and make sure that that's done properly.
That's a good point, Jim, because some stuff.
Yeah, there's also from the sociological standpoint, you're gonna have one or two employees getting a benefit that others do
Yeah.
not. So how am I going to get paid for my gasoline?
Yeah, well,
So this other
yeah.
person getting it, no, this,
right, I mean.
all that stuff comes into play.
Yeah, you're providing the benefit, you know, for people who choose to, you know, spend the money to buy the car that takes advantage of it, but, yeah, I'll double check with Joe on that, make sure that we're doing it properly.
Yeah, and you know, eyes wide open to make a decision like that.
Okay.
Okay, before we go into executive sessions, I need a motion to pay the claims.
I'll make a motion, so motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Roll call, please.
Harrison,
Yes.
Mike Parker,
Yes.
Jim Snyder,
Yes.
Michael Parsons.
Yes.
Guess what, Mike? You don't have to go anywhere now.
I know. I'm going to stop the recording.
And you didn't get this because I didn't. I only sent it to the board members.
Okay.
And then, do you need this, Carl?
Yeah, I do, because I didn't print it out. I gotta find it.
Do you want me